guys, welcome back. Today I'm here with the Honest Booktuber Tag. This was originally created by Harriet from Harriet Rosie, and I've been seeing this going around a bit. I don't think anybody's tagged me in it, but I thought I would go ahead and do it anyway. I think the questions are interesting ones, so let's go ahead and dive right in. Question 1. Have you ever lied about reading a book? Okay, so it's so funny. The answer in the realm of my Booktube channel is no. Why would I do that? It's really funny though. I've had this question before. I've had people ask me like, but did you really read all of the books that you say you read? I'm like, yeah, I really read them. No, I didn't skim them. Like, why would I do that? Now, in high school, yes, I probably did lie about reading books. There were definitely some books in high school English class that I didn't really like, and so I ended up reading the SparkNotes versions of them because I didn't feel like reading them. So in that case, kind of, but on Booktube, no. Like, no, I really do read fast. Question number 2, have you ever avoided a book because of controversy around the content or author? Yes. I think with the Me Too movement and some of the things that started coming out about different children's authors, there were definitely some books that I had considered picking up that I've decided I'm not going to. For example, I'd always been kind of interested in reading A Series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket. I was a little too old for them when they first came out, but I was always a little bit curious about picking them up. But after some of the allegations that came out about the author of those books and some of his behavior, that's no longer something I'm really interested in purchasing or reading. I guess this is the thing, like, there are some things that bother me enough that I will choose to not support an author and read their books if they are currently living. Dead authors, it for me at least, is a different story. Like, I don't have the same, I don't handle it the same way, but for living authors, there are certain types of things that bother me enough where I will choose to avoid them. Sexual harassment and sexual assault are definitely among them. There are other things that I don't necessarily feel that way about, where I'm willing to overlook it in favor of what they're producing. So certain types of beliefs that I might not agree with, or political viewpoints I might not agree with, that I'm willing to overlook as long as I like the books that they're writing, which I know some people will disagree with me on that, but that's kind of how I tend to approach it. I think a really good example of this, and I'm a little even nervous to talk about this, but this is the Honest Booktuber Tag, right? One of my favorite authors as a teenager, starting in high school all the way through my 20s, is somebody who is pretty controversial in the booktube world, so it's not something I've talked much about, but Orson Scott Card, the author of Ender's Game and lots of other books. He's an incredibly prolific author and is actually one of my most read authors back when Goodreads still had the list of most read authors. I was super annoyed that they took it away, but yeah, I've read a lot of his books, and he had been one of my favorite authors for a really long time. Now, he holds some beliefs and viewpoints and has spoken about them that I do not agree with, and I totally understand that because of some of the things that he said, there are people who are choosing to not read any of his books. I support that as a choice. For me, I have a lot of nostalgia associated with those books, and also, while I don't agree with the things that he said and the beliefs that he has, for me it's not like a make or break issue in terms of what I will and won't read, as long as those things aren't leaking into the books themselves in ways that feel hateful. And at least in my experience, that is not something that has come across. So yeah, this is a tricky one for me because I think those lines can be a little hard to draw, and I think you just kind of have to ultimately go with whatever you feel comfortable with. And I don't think there's like one right answer to how you should handle these issues. Question 3, have you ever been sent a book for free and not disclosed it? No, I always disclose, at least in my book hauls. I always disclose if I've received something for free, whether it's from a PR company, a publisher, a friend, an author. I always disclose that. I generally try to remember to also disclose in my TBRs and wrap-ups if a book is something that was sent to me for free. It is entirely possible that there have been times that I've forgotten or neglected to say it and put it in the description down below instead, but generally speaking, I would never do that on purpose. I would always like purposefully disclose it. I would say after that point though, if I'm including something in, say, an end of the year favorites video or a book recommendation video that I'm curating, then I probably wouldn't disclose it because it's been a while, I've already read it, like, yeah, so at that point, no. Like, so there are definitely videos that I talk about that have ended up becoming favorites that were sent to me for free that I didn't mention that in those videos, but I for sure would disclose that prior to that. And oftentimes too, there are books where I'll read an e-arc of it, where I was sent the e-arc for free, and I like it so much that I go out and buy myself a physical copy. Like, that's happened on a number of occasions. So it's complicated, but always in my book hauls I disclose, and generally speaking I disclose in my TBRs and wrap-ups as well, although it is entirely possible that I've accidentally missed things on occasion. Similarly, this isn't something that I'm so much doing anymore, but previously when I was a rep for Enchanted Fandoms and was sent boxes to unbox on here for free, I would always disclose that as well. Like, anytime I'm sent something for free, I disclose it. If I ever were to have paid content, which, like, please, like, give me your brand deals. I would be more than happy to have paid content on this channel if it is done ethically and fits in. I have not at this point. I'm probably not big enough for that, but if I ever did, I would definitely disclose that as well. And you have to, legally speaking. Legally, you must disclose if something is paid content. So anyway, yeah. That's my response on that. Question 4, have you ever bought a book with no intention of reading it? No. Why would I do that? I mean, probably the closest thing to this would be, there have been a few times I've bought pretty editions of classics that I know I might not read or probably won't read anytime soon, but they're pretty and I want to have them on my shelves, and at some point I might read them. So I would do that, but generally speaking, anything I buy, it's because I'm interested in reading it. Now, at some point that may change. I may decide I'm no longer interested in that book, or I may start reading it and realize it's not what I thought it was, or hear reviews that make me think, maybe I should rethink this. But when I buy a book, it's always because it looks like something I think I would want to read. Now, sometimes my eyes are bigger than my stomach in terms of whatever that analogy would be for books. That happens where I'm like, oh yeah, I want to read all these books, and then I'm like, oh, but I don't have time to read all of those books, and now I need to reprioritize. So that happens. But yeah, no, I never like buy a book with no intention of reading it, unless it's a really pretty classic that I realize I may very well not read. But yeah, no. Question 5, have you ever gotten caught up in booktube drama? No. I don't think so. I feel like, from what I see and hear, it seems like most of the drama that happens on Twitter. And I'm not on Twitter that much, although lately I've been on a little bit more than usual, but I tend to avoid stuff. I like don't see the need to get involved in it, and most of it seems pretty petty anyway. I will say there have been a few things where people started making videos about stuff that happened, and that's interesting. So like I might watch a couple of people's response videos because that's fun. But as far as like commenting myself and inserting myself into it, no. Not that I can remember. Hi guys, editing Bethany here. I'm actually on a retreat that I'll be vlogging, but I realized that I accidentally missed a question. So inserting this clip here. The 6th question is, have you ever received a hate comment, and did you respond? Yes, I have definitely received some hate comments. Some of them I've just deleted. I'm trying to think, like, I definitely had one comment that was like borderline rude, but not necessarily a hate comment, and that one I responded like diplomatically, and then the person like came back and was like, oh, I'm sorry if that came across like rudely or something, and was like nice after that. So it's kind of interesting. I think sometimes people don't always like realize there's a person on the end of the other end of the comments that's like reading stuff. Most of the time, if it's like really a hate comment, I'll just delete it or block it or ignore it. Usually ignore it unless it's something that's like hateful towards other people in the comments. And I will say this is part of why I got away from doing much with beauty YouTube, because you get so many nasty comments on there, man. Like Booktube, it's pretty rare. Sometimes weird comments, but not so many nasty comments, although it does seem like the bigger you get, the more likely you are to get those sorts of things happening. Like, I see more of the bigger, even booktubers getting stuff, so I don't know. Like, I think most of the time the best thing to do is just ignore it, like, block people if they're actually being really crass or rude and totally inappropriate, and if it's just kind of on the edge of, like, not necessarily hateful but not very nice either, just, like, respond politely and hope that people are like, oh, sorry. Because I think sometimes people on the internet will write things that they would never say in real life and don't always realize that, like, oh yeah, there's like another person there. I don't know. Some people are trolls, but okay. Stopping now. Back to your previously created content. Question 7. Have you ever made a video just because you knew it would get views? I mean, of course. Isn't that what we all do? Like, don't we all do that? Don't we all make videos because we think that people are gonna watch it? Like, that's the point, especially if you want to grow your channel. Now, do I make videos that I hate making to get views? No. I stopped doing that. That's actually part of why I don't do very many tag videos anymore, because I don't enjoy them. This kind of tag is a little bit different. It's more of like a discussion video type tag, which I do enjoy, but a lot of the basic book tag type things where you're just like answering a series of questions and giving books as answers for them, when I first started my channel, I made a bunch of those because I kept getting tagged in things, and honestly, I didn't enjoy making them. I don't particularly enjoy watching other people do them. The discussion-based ones I think are interesting, and so I'll do those. So I basically don't do those kinds of tags anymore almost ever because I just don't particularly like them. So even if they were gonna get views, and ultimately, even that I think is a little bit silly, because also, like, if I seem unenthusiastic and unexcited about the content I'm making, why would people be watching it anyway? So I don't know, this is kind of weird. But do I have videos that I make because I know they consistently get views? Yeah, absolutely. I continue to make book hauls because, I mean, it's fun. Like, I like showing off the books that I get, but honestly, a big part of it is a lot of people like watching them. So I'm like, well, okay, if you guys like watching them, I'm gonna keep making them. They're not that hard for me to do, and they get views. Similarly, I vlogged the entire event with the Sarah J. Maas Kingdom of Ash tour, and I did it because I knew it was probably gonna get a lot of views, and lo and behold, I think it's the second most viewed video on my channel. So it honestly, like, did even better than I expected it to. I made that video because I knew people would want to see it, partly because it's cool for people who weren't able to be a part of the tour and see her in person. It's like a cool opportunity for them, but partly because I was like, this is probably gonna get a lot of views. And it did. But, like, isn't that the point of being on YouTube? I don't know. I think people can get a little bit overly puritanical about this, and like, I don't make that many. I mean, I do sometimes make videos that I know probably won't get a lot of views just because I really want to make the video, but also that can be a little depressing sometimes if nobody else cares. So I'm like, well, okay, maybe I'll try making other things then if nobody cares about this video. So I don't know. Thoughts? Question 8. If you could go back to the beginning of your channel, would you do anything differently? No, I don't think I would do anything differently. I like the journey that I've had with my channel. There are definitely things that have changed that I've chosen to change and do differently over the couple of years that I've been doing this, but I think that's part of the process. Part of it is getting into it, learning what works and what doesn't work, and what is really you and what isn't, and I mean, that's just, it's part of growing and some of the growing pains of being on YouTube, so no, I wouldn't change anything. No. Question number 9, are there any channels you wish you could be more like? So I'm probably gonna go with what almost everybody else's answer has been on this and say probably Books and Lala. I love her content, and I love the creativity and the way she does these long form vlogs and interesting experiments, and that is something that I would love to do more of if I could get my life together enough to do more of them. I've done some, but she is amazing, and I just love her vibe. She's down to earth, she's funny, she's interesting. Yeah, so absolutely, if I was going to be more like anybody, it would probably be Books and Lala. Although our reading taste is a little bit different, but I'm also happy with that. And question number 10 is, what is something that you love about your channel? I mean, guys, I love the community that we've created. I love the friends that I've made through the channel. I love that I don't have to limit myself in the types of books that I read and talk about. I do a lot of fantasy, but I do a little bit of everything else, and I love that you guys enjoy that, and I get a lot of really positive feedback, which I so appreciate. Also, one of my favorite things is when people are like, hey, I read this book because you recommended it, and I'm like, yes, or I went and bought this book because I heard you talk about it, and now I want to read it, and I'm like, that's so exciting. Like when some of my favorite books or the way that I talk about books inspires other people to pick up books that they might not have otherwise tried, that's always really, really cool. I love it. I love BookTube. I love being on here and the channel, and I think it's great. It's fun. Okay, so that is it. That is the Honest Booktuber tag. Thanks to Harriet Rosie for creating this. Go and check her channel out. She's really lovely, really great to watch if you like somebody super low-key. She reads a lot of thrillers and a lot of literary fiction and nonfiction, and just seems like a really lovely person. I am not going to tag anybody in this because I feel like a lot of people have already done this, but feel free to comment below if you guys have any comments or questions on anything that I talked about. And question of the day, let's be controversial. Tell me, what are your feelings on brand deals and paid promotional content? Like, this is, I'd be really curious to hear, because I feel like the consensus among most of the creators on YouTube is that we're like, great, if you can get them, do it. Just be ethical about it and don't do things that don't make sense for your channel. But I'm really curious to hear from some of you guys. I mean, if you're a content creator, please feel free to comment, but also for some of you who are not creators, I'm curious to hear how you feel about branded paid content. Yeah, that'll be your question of the day. And for those of you who are new, if you answer my question of the day and are publicly subscribed to my channel, every answer gets you one entry into my bi-monthly giveaway. So once every 2 months, I draw a winner from the comments and send them a book, either from Amazon or Book Depository, which means it is open internationally. As long as Book Depository ships to your country, you are eligible to enter. I haven't talked about that on here for a while, so I thought I would throw that out there. Okay, so that is it for me. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.